All right, Mitch, how you doing today?
Good, mate. Yourself?
Doing all right. I'm doing all right. So, how does it feel to kind of now come into this season, kind of start preparing as the punter?
Yeah, it's been good. I mean, I'm a lot more confident this year. I wasn't planning going in to play much last year because of Andrew Osteen was in, and I was fortunately for myself, I was given an opportunity, and I think I did well last year. I think there was parts of my game that I made mistakes on, which is I think expected, being at my first time playing the sport. So, and I've learned and I've rectified those issues, and I've practiced it in the off season, and I feel like I'm much more prepared this year than I was last year.
So you come over here to play, American gridiron football,
Yeah.
while the Women's World Cup of, football
Yeah.
is going on in your home country. Have you been following that? You a soccer guy?
No, I'm not a soccer guy at all. I was brought up on our Australian rules football, and I was a basketballer, and that was it. And I never surfed, I never skated. I purely just did basketball, football. That's it, my whole life.
So what's it like to go from Australian rules football to American football?
It's a bit of it's a big change, because in our game back home, it's that everyone has to run, everyone has to catch, everyone has to kick, tackle. So there's players on this team that have different roles. For example, Paul Rubelt wouldn't be running a route and catching a pass from JRP, but for us, doesn't matter how big you are, what position you play, you all have to have the same and possess the same skills. Over here, completely different. I just got to catch the ball and kick it. So it's hence my title, specialist. So that's probably the biggest change, is not having to worry about running as much. I just get to focus on my craft, which is punting, which I think is good, because I can, just get better a lot quicker. I don't have to worry about other areas. It's purely catching, holding, and punting.
So tell me about last season. Andrew Osteen gets the start, and then they call you and they take over punt duties kind of later on, and you kind of get it rest of the way. So tell me about kind of how you evolved to kind of take over the role last year.
I knew my strength was always going to be consistency. The scheme that we had going into last season was the traditional spiral. So we went rugby punting, we weren't doing anything, it was just a straight walk. With an end over end, that's pretty hard, and Andrew rightfully won the position at the start of the year. Once we then moved into the rugby kick, that was my strength. And I knew that, whenever I was called upon and when they needed me, if anything ever happened on punt, I know I was there ready to go, and I know I can kick it 45 yards to the right spot most times, 8 or 9 times out of 10. So that's where I was mentally, and I was like, when I get given an opportunity, I'll take it with 2 hands. But I was stoked when they gave me the chance to get on that field and play. So, and I think I did, like I said, I did pretty good last year. So,
what part of Australia? Tell us a little bit about your growing up and kind of where you grew up, and kind of what sports interested you.
I grew up in a place called Frankston, which is in the south of Australia, in a state called Victoria. Grew up from a young age doing little athletics, so I was a long distance runner, high jumper, and I kept doing that all the way through my juniors, and then I combined that with Australian rules football and basketball. Always loved footy and basketball. And I think a lot of boys can agree with this, they might not even know they do it, but you kind of gravitate towards what sport you get the most praise from. So if I get a lot of reaction and responses from basketball, I was interested in basketball. If I was getting people from football approach me, I was getting into football. And I had a lot of interest in basketball. I had a few universities message me, and so I dropped football, Australian football. Came over here, finished my senior year in California, got a bit homesick, went back home, played our professional Australian rules football, and then that's kind of my journey. But I've always been, I love playing sports no matter what it is. I just love winning, being competitive, and like I said, anything that people say I'm good at, I like taking up and doing. I think we're all a bit like that.
Tell the audience about Aussie rules football, because I've been to Australia.
Okay.
So I got to see it up close.
Whereabouts were you?
I visited Sydney.
Okay, yeah, they got
Sydney,
2
Australia,
teams.
Yeah. But I remember how it would be a big deal. Like, I would go to a bar, and it's all, it's treated like American football.
Yeah, for
right?
sure.
Like, just talk about that. What's it like being around that sport?
I've always kind of compared it almost to a religion, just like almost football is over here. It's borderline religion. People are so passionate about it. They live their lives by it. Everyone makes time for the games on the weekend. They block out periods of time. And it's the same back home. Obviously not to the scale of America. You guys got 350 million people. We've only got 25. So for the size of our country and the population, a lot of people love football. And, it's being a part of that. I was only there for a year and a bit, but having the opportunity to train with the best athletes in the world for my sport, and some really good leaders, and being around really good coaches. That shaped me a lot to where I am today here, and I know how to deal with all different types of coaches. I mean, I've been playing pro or semi-pro since I was 17, 18, so I'm now 25. So it's prepared me well for this, and I meet coaches here, and I've met some clone of them in the past with my other sports, so I know how to deal with different people, and that's probably been my biggest strength coming in. But it's fantastic. Everyone loves football. We all love kicking, so we get to come here, and our job is to catch a ball and kick it, which we do in the street every night with our dads when we're growing up. So it's you couldn't ask for anything more.
What's the difference between the Mitch McCarthy that first, arrived in the United States versus the Mitch McCarthy we see now?
I don't know if it was obvious, but when I got here and I was playing, it was really panicky. I was a lot of doubt, a lot of uncertainty, because I had no idea what I knew that I had to catch it and kick it, but there was a lot of uncertainty that kind of crept into my mind, and I was like, hang on, wait, what if they don't block, and am I going the right way, and all this stuff? What if I drop the ball? What do I do then? There's a lot of those little kind of game IQ things that I wasn't aware of that just comes with playing the sport, any sport. This year I feel like I'm a lot more educated in the sport. Situationally, I know what to do if things change. I know how to read the defense. Are they in safe? Are they going to do an aggressive rush? How do I then combat that? So just my IQ is probably the biggest difference from 12 months ago to now. Yeah.
Did you have a favorite athlete growing up over there?
Yeah, he just retired 2 days ago. So his name's Lance Franklin. So that was, everyone in Australia was a bit upset about that, but just a superstar. I'm not going to bore you with his statistic, but he was just a superstar, super athlete. Used to grow up watching him, and yeah, no, it's sad that he's retired. But yeah, I used to shape my sport around him, and the way I played football was nowhere near as talented as him, but everyone has their kind of role model growing up. But
did you ever make it to Melbourne for like an Australian Open as a fan?
Yeah.
What's that experience like?
It's almost like a mixture of a sport and a festival.
Yeah.
So they have obviously the tennis in all the arenas, because I'm from Melbourne. I've only went there for my first time 2 years ago. So was never into tennis growing up, and now I'm older. It's probably different going in as an adult than versus as a kid. You go there, it probably caters to you a bit better. They got bars and music and all that stuff, and I had a really good time. So it's definitely on my to-do list when I go back home this Christmas.
Nice. Did you go to like a final? You see Novak play?
I watched Kyrgios play.
Kyrgios, that makes sense.
As frustrating as he is to watch sometimes, he's so talented and so exciting to watch. I think that's why everyone loves him. But yeah, you got to see a few good players, Djokovic, Nadal. So it's been good.
Is he as popular like as a Leighton Hewitt, for example, or how do they compare?
Yeah. I think now because of social media and stuff, he's probably wider known. But I mean, I remember Leighton Hewitt growing up. Leighton Hewitt used to wear my hat backwards, used to celebrate, do the come on. So he was a massive cult figure in Australia. But yeah, I would say purely because of social media, he's much bigger personality. But yeah, he is as big, if not bigger. So.
What's the biggest thing that you want to either improve on or just nail down before the season starts?
It's probably spirals. I think kicking end over ends the Australian way and the rugby kicks. I compare it to, it'd be like if JRP was trying to throw a pass and throw the ball backwards. It's not aerodynamic, so it doesn't pierce the air as well as a spiral, so he'd lose yardage on a throw. That's the same with me in kicking. So if I kick it, let's say 10 out of 10 power and I connect with it well, that might go 50 yards. If I do a spiral, for example, with the same power and the same connection, that's going 65 yards. So I know that for me that's a strong asset, and I can really flip the field a lot better. I'm doing well with flipping the field, but I think I can be even better. But I think affecting my spirals and being more consistent, I think if Coach Malzahn sees that, he'll realise it's a weapon and I can use that a lot better. So yeah.
Awesome. Best of luck this
Hey,
season.
thank you, man. It's always a pleasure talking to you.
Anytime.